Okay, so 79 to 70 IQ is borderline retarded. And this is the what explains what borderline retarded is like. Uh, Limited trainability, have difficulty with everyday demands like using a phone, book, reading bus or train schedules, banking, filling out forms, using appliances like a video recorder, microwave oven, or computer, etc., and therefore requires assistance from relatives or social workers in the management of their affairs. Can be employed in simple tasks but requires supervision. Now, I don't have a problem using a phone when I'm doing when I'm like if I have to take a bus or something. That's a little difficult. If I have to fill out forms, that's difficult for me. Baking's difficult for me. The microwave, I can use that, but if I have to defrost something, that's hard. If I have to measure something for cooking, that's hard because I don't know fractions very well. But I mean, if I'm doing measuring cups, I can't use measuring cups or measuring spoons or anything like that. Anything that I have to calculate a fraction, I can't do. But if I have like a just one cup and all the lines in it to do it, I could do it that way. Um, I am employed. I have a I have a janitor job. I work that. I'm not supervised. Yeah. Video recorders. Now, I'm kind of I'm good at it, but I'm bad at it sometimes. Like I can use a webcam. That's easy. You plug it in, it works. You download your program and you use it, right? But like when it comes to like the camera I have for making videos, it's hard. I don't know all the settings and stuff, and I'm trying to figure it out, but it's hard. I think even the average person would have a hard time with it. It just takes time to learn it, but I don't know. I'm having a hard time with it. I think I should have got a camcorder. Anyway, yeah. So those are my things that are hard. Filling out forms. If I'm asked questions, I'll get confused and don't know how to answer them. Or I don't know, like I don't know how to socialize very well. Stuff like that. Like yeah, I don't know how to do baking. I don't know how to pay my bills. I don't know how to do that. I let my wife do that. I don't know how to pay bills. Like my wife helps me survive, and without her, I wouldn't know what to do. I'm sure I got a janitor job, but it's still I don't know. You know, I'm trying to learn something that would make me more money, but everything's very difficult. And I try to act smart all the time. I try to say something smart or try to pretend like I know what I'm talking about, and I don't. Yeah. So yeah, that's one of my problems. I have an IQ of 75, and then I have schizophrenia on top of that. and I have Crohn's. Like during my day, like I haven't been drinking water, and I haven't been getting my B12. And my wife keeps telling me, just go and get a cup of water, squirt some stuff in it, and drink it. But the task seems like it's overwhelming. It's like, I have to learn something new, I have to get used to this new thing I have to try to do. So, yeah, that's some of the things I deal with. Anyway. I'm surprised I'm not dead yet.
Under 87, is there something? Well, no. Right. That's a big problem. And it's something our society has not addressed at all. Jobs for people with IQs of less than 85 are very, very rare. So what the hell are those people supposed to do? It's 15% of the population. What are they supposed to do? Well, we better figure it out, because one of the things that's happening too is that as the high IQ tech geeks get a hold of the world, the demand for cognitive power is increasing, not decreasing, right? You want to be a teller? Well, those checkout machines, they're not so simple. You want to work at McDonald's? You think that's a simple job? You don't see robots working at McDonald's. And the reason for that is that what McDonald's workers do is too complex for robots to do. So this is a discussion that no one wants to have, but that's okay. It's still a problem, and it has to be dealt with. So the US government, I think I told you this at one point already, it's illegal to induct anyone into the US Army if they have an IQ of less than 83, right? It's about 10% of the population. Because the US Army, and they've been doing IQ testing since IQ testing began, because they want everybody they can possibly get into the Army, because in peacetime, they use it as a way of moving people up the socioeconomic ladder, and in wartime, well, obviously, you need as many soldiers as you can get your hands on. And so you're not going to be any pickier than you have to be. So when the US Army says it's illegal to induct anybody into the armed forces if they have an IQ of less than 83, then you know that they've done it for absolute necessity. Right? And when people have made a finding that contradicts what they want to hear, and they're doing it out of absolute necessity, you can be reasonably true that it's one of those facts that just won't bloody well go away. And so you might think, well, if there's nothing for someone with an IQ of less than 83 to do in the Army, what makes you think that there's something that they can do in the general population? And then the issue is, because the conservatives will say, well, they should just work harder. It's like, sorry, that ain't going to fly. And the liberals will say, well, there's no difference between people anyhow, and you can just train people to do everything. And that's wrong. So they're both wrong, and they're seriously wrong. And the fact that neither side of the political perspective will take a good, cold, hard look at this problem means that we're going to increasingly have a structural problem in our societies, because we're complexifying everything so rapidly that you can't find employment unless you're intelligent. You guys are really going to face this, Lawyers are disappearing like mad. And the reason for that is, you can look it up online. Increasingly, you can do things yourself if you're smart. And so, the working class people have been wiped out pretty nicely over the last 30 years by automation and various other things. It's the low end of the white collar class that's coming up next. So I'm not saying that lawyers are in the low end, but low end lawyers are in the low end of the white collar class. So there's still going to be plenty of positions for people who are creative and fast on their feet and super smart. In fact, those people are going to have all the money, and that's already happening to a great degree. Because if you're smart and you can use a computer, you're so smart it's just absolutely unbelievable, right? And if you can't use a computer, and lots of people, and I don't mean, you can open Word. That isn't what I mean. I mean you can program, and if you can't program, well, you're right at the next end. So if you haven't got that with you, you're going to be left behind.
What's going to happen then when that happens, when you have...
Oh, a lot of them will take Demerol. That's what's happening in the United States. Yeah, it's an opiate. Yeah, so there's a massive drug problem emerging in,
Under 83 or whatever
yeah,
is about 15% of the population.
yeah. No, I'm telling you, that is what's happening. There,
It seems like that percent of the population is going to increase.
yes. Drugs. Yeah, drugs of abuse.
The population falling out of society.
Well, what is happening to a large degree is people drop out of the employment race. They get very depressed. They develop chronic pain problems, especially if they're men, because chronic pain and depression are very much the same thing. And then they subsist on opiates, which are subsidized by Medicaid in the US. I'm not kidding about this. This is exactly what's happening. What else is going to happen to people for whom there's nothing to do? They have a terrible time, especially if they're conscientious. That's a good question. You know, the AI guys are pushing hard on this. Hey, what's the biggest employment category? Driver. Think about it. What's Tesla doing? What are all the AI guys working on as fast as they possibly can? Driverless cars. No problem, except that's the biggest employment category for men. So what are those guys going to do? Yeah, they're going to sit home and, you know, be miserable with their wives and take opiates because they have chronic pain problems. Right, nasty. And you might think, well, could they think up something else to do? Well, if you have an IQ of 83 or less, you're not going to be doing a lot of thinking about something else to do. You know, that isn't how it works, because you're more of a, you're an act person, not a thinking person, roughly speaking. You know, and so if you have a task at hand, especially if you're conscientious, you can diligently go about it. But, you know, I've tried to train people with IQs of 80 and less to do what I would consider tasks that one of you could learn to do in 10 minutes and never make a mistake again. And it's like tens of hours with bare minimum mastery of the tasks. So, yeah, it's an ugly situation, no doubt about it.